Hi, Mr. Chitsoy. This is Ben from United States with the third video, the final, the detail that's going to show you what area you need to be concerned about, how to do the oil changes, what to look for, what to do, and what not to do with this monstrous machine that you have designed. Let's go into the tanks. I'm going to show you what the floats and the tanks consist of. This is the normal tank. That means it only collects water, and if the water level reaches about almost inch away from before it start running into the filtration system, it will send a signal to the engine to shut down, because you got two wires. One of them, as it goes and travels towards the unit, is going to be connected to the ground. The other one will be connected to a keel wire of the color engine, which is a white color. Now we're going to come to the tank that's pump out. Unlike the other tank, if you notice, there is a switch way down there, which what this switch does, it only allows the pump out system with the clutch to engage and operate if there is water in the tank. So that way you do not accidentally run the pump out and burn it. But let's say you don't do the pump out, and then you're doing a small job, and eventually the tank is going to get full. The second switch, once it rises, again, just like the other one, sends a signal to the engine to shut down. So this one right here, it has to be there. You can always lower it if you like, but this is the position that I would recommend to have, because that way we do have enough water level inside of the tank to be above the pump. That means your pump is ready, primed, filled with water, and ready to pump out. Let's go to the right side of the machine. Now, when the water comes in, it's gonna go through two switches, Mr. Chitsoy. One of them is called normally closed. One of them is called normally open. What do we mean by that? This one, the two poles inside, they're touching each other. Unless if you give it a water pressure, which is coming from the garden hose, it forces for these two poles, which one of them is connected to a black wire and the other one to the purple one, to separate, to allow the engine to be able to fire up, because by these two wires, which one of them is ground and the other one is keel, which is in purple in our wiring, by them separating, it allows the coil to start sending the spark to the spark plugs for the engine to operate. Now, once the water comes in and passes through this first switch, it's going to go to the second switch. This one is backward. It's normally open. That means the only way for these two to touch each other, right now they're not touching inside of the pole, the two wires. It has to be a water pressure to go in to push the wires together to be able to ground. If you notice over here, we do have one of them which is C as the other one, ground, which is in black color, and of course NO, which stands for normally open, right here, is going to be connected to the negative of the green lights on both sides. So if you notice on the other side, you have the same setup. Again, you have a normally closed with a purple wire, which is a keel, and then you have a normally open one with a green wire, which goes for the green wire to the left side. Okay, we already passed our pressure switches. We're going to send you a couple of these in case if you run into any kind of defectiveness or any kind of, burning them, you can simply replace them. Now, you're going to see a device right here, which is called the watts regulator. What this does, the incoming water that's coming in from the garden hose, in different cities, they have different, we have different pressures in different cities as far as water pressure from the houses and buildings. But in order to get the injector inside at the head of the pump, which we're going to go and see it, what it is, in order to have this injector to operate, which you have one on the top and one in the bottom unit, identical, which of course you can see there is another watts regulator here. In order for these two injectors to be able to operate and siphon chemical, any incoming water that's coming in from the garden hose of the building, of the house, or whatever you're doing, has to be 20 psi and less, excuse me, for this injector to be able to operate. Now, once we set that regulator for you, I wouldn't recommend touching it anymore. Let it be there, and they should last a good few years before they finally give away, which they only need replacement. They're not that expensive, but definitely it will help a lot as far as helping the injector start siphoning the chemical for you, which these injectors, again, like I said, for your convenience, they're connected to the chemical meters in the front, so you don't reach in the back to adjust them. You can simply adjust your chemical suction from here by seeing that small ball moving up and down, which will indicate your gallonage of chemical that you're going to be using. Now, each of these units, the engine and the vacuum system, they're connected together with this type of style. This is style of connectors, which is called coupling. Now, what this does, this type of flange is going to be on your blower. This will be on your engine, and these two rubber kind of joins them together. Why we have a rubber here? Because we want, under severe suction buildup, severe abuse, something's going to give. Otherwise, it's going to cause more problem. So this rubber, if you start seeing some kind of rubber shaving all over the frame after so many hours running the machine, it pretty much indicates that the technicians are pushing the machine past this vacuum capability. So you may want to kind of watch for that. However, as far as replacing it, like I told you on the first video, it's very simple. We have designed your platform. You do have a couple of nuts here and a couple of nuts on the other side. You will be able to simply, by loosening these and loosening the other side and also loosening the exhaust, pull the whole entire engine backwards. Of course, after removing the set pin, which you have one here and one on the other side, after replacing it, be able to put everything back, connect your exhaust, and as long as you got these two pins going in back into the frame, you have a perfect lineup from the factory. Now, remember I told you the machine will come to you dry because we can't ship equipment with hazardous materials in them like oil, fuels, and what have you. That's against the federal regulations here. So when you're gonna get the machine, it's gonna come to you dry. For the engines, for each engine, which is 30 horse, you use a 10W30. It doesn't matter who it's made by, as long as it's a detergent type of oil. 10W30 should be fine. Each engine will take 2 to be filled. We're gonna go to the pump. Each pump are 2345 E-P by Hypro. They take approximately about 12 to 12.5 ounce of a straight 30. Remember, this is your engine. Oops. This is 10W30 for the engine, non-detergent for the pump, which is straight 30. 12 ounce for each pump, one on the top, one at the bottom. When it gets to your blower system, it is a 4.7 URI from the roots. It'll take about 13 ounce. When you have it in a vertical position, you use 13 ounce of ADW90 gear oil. So we're going to put 13 ounce on the top, 13 ounce on the bottom, and we should be done. Another area that you need to be concerned about is greasing your bearings. You do have a couple of greasers. The way this machine is designed, if you notice, we have cut out this area for you to be able to simply connect your grease gun here and right there. And you should be able to see the grease exiting from the right side. Now, these blowers are packed with grease. As time goes by, you'll be able to see that pretty much as far as grease exiting the greaser is going to stop. That means it's an indication that you need to do greasing. Now, never over grease bearings. Always use a couple of pumps of grease. That should be enough, because if you ever over grease a bearing, there is a condition that you might create. It's called caking, which you have put so much grease inside of the bearing housing, just because the bearing gets hot and also grease gets hot, grease will start burning and it start jamming up, and it will not allow the ball bearing to roll, which is going to cause them to slip, which is going to cause overheating the bearing. So every time you're going to do your greasing of your bearings, only a couple of screws should be enough per every grease feeder. So you got 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. All right, as far as the top of the tank, we have taken them off for you to be able pretty much what they consist of. Each one, they do have a filter which prevents any kind of debris, anything airborne from the tank flying into the blower. We're gonna go ahead and see the other one. Now remember, you did have a couple of strainers in the front that I designed for you, which basically captures any kind of solid, any kind of stuff that you might be bringing in from the job site. So those type of solid trash will be caught up right there in the front, and those boxes, we don't see them right now because we wanted to be able to go around the machine. But definitely those, they need daily cleaning. And because your filtration box is separate from the tank, once every week, it's always good to remove the small lid and screw the filter, just clean it and put it back. But definitely every day after the job is done, on each side, on each blower, there is a butterfly valve. While the machine is running, simply spray lubricant into this port. How much lubricant? Hey, more the better. You know, you do have one down here also. you can use. I understand it might look like any kind of inconvenience for you not to be able to have the lubrication ports in the front, but trust me, this is the best place for them, because as I've mentioned in the prior videos, when you have your lubrication port in the front, it takes a long time for the lubrication to travel up and go into the blower. Why not simply have it right there by the intake? So as soon as you spray in there, the maximum amount of the lubrication is going to get splashed inside of the blower, which is going to preserve it for years and years to come. Your silencers above, they really don't need any maintenance. Just make sure there is hardly any foam buildup inside of your tank, because they are very high power. They are very good as far as their sound reductions. But the only thing that's going to wear them down over the years of misusing them, if you start having foam build up inside of your tank, get sucked in through the blower and pump into the silencers, eventually they're going to lose their sound absorbency, which